Hi everyone. Yeah. How many of you have taken notice of a stranger before? That girl with the orange hair who walked past you? The girl who brought her pillow out with her homework because her room was too stuffy? Or the two guys who brought their dinner out because the dining hall was full? Maybe it's the guy with tattoos, with a beard, a guy who skates, or maybe it's just that one guy who sits alone, deep in thought. How many of you have noticed that somebody before? And then a sudden urge overcomes you, and there's this thought in your mind that goes, damn, I wish we were friends. Have you ever had that experience? I do, several times in fact. And I never acted on it, not until I started my project called Bare Nusessities. Yeah. Today, I stand before you to nudge you to become a better stranger. Because whether it's Summer, the yoga teacher from Thailand, or Ian, the Canadian exchange student who studies environmental biology, we can all be friends. Okay, let's rewind first. Okay. Why did I start this project? So it's really simple, really. For me, this is a personal challenge to meet a stranger in campus. I feel like most of us are too comfortable with ourselves, with our friends, with the way things are. We are content with status quo. I fall into that trap too. And when I feel too comfortable, that's when I realize that I become extremely uncomfortable. And not just that, I have selfish reasons too. I started this project so that I could meet someone outside my social circle. It was a way for me to improve my interpersonal communication skills. And perhaps most selfish of all, it was a way for me not to be alone. They say you don't forget your first. It's true. I remember the first time I had to approach a stranger. It was a Monday, 19th of August, 2013, and my classes had ended, so I was walking around looking for prey. And then I found this spot that had a really good traffic, so I took a seat, and I was there for hours. Everyone looked a little too fierce, a little too busy. I was making excuses not to get up and approach them. So I decided, when the sun was going down, I had to act. So I decided that after the song ended on my MP3 player, I was going to approach the next person. And this next person was this girl who walked past. She was in plain white tee and denim shorts. And I just planted myself in front of her, introduced myself, my project, before she could reject me. Yeah. And then I asked her for some advice, because I realized that she was in the school 1 year older than me. And her name is Sabrina. Initially, she was kind of hesitant, but as soon as she found out more about my project, she began to open up and become much more supportive. I was so nervous during the whole conversation, I forgot everything that she said. So I had to ask her to write it down on a piece of paper. Yeah. Even now, I get nervous. I'm so nervous right now. Yeah. But don't you think it's funny why some of us are so afraid to talk to strangers? What makes them so scary? I mean, what are we really afraid of? What are we trying to protect ourselves from? Do you remember when you were younger and you were so excited and curious when there was someone new? What has changed? I'm here to tell you that you don't have to be afraid, because people are really friendly. People care. This fierceness is really just a facade. 3%. That's the probability of me being rejected by someone so far. Yeah. And I think this is quite surprising, especially in the context of Singapore, because we Singaporeans, have this reputation for being cold, for being unfriendly. But is it really true? So from my conversations, I checked with the strangers that I met. They told me that the reasons they might reject someone is usually either because they think I'm trying to sell them something, because they think I'm hitting on them, or they think that I have a religious agenda. In short, people think the worst of you. I mean, the worst of strangers. But the thing is, we have more in common than you think. We have similar dreams. Another dreams to build a home, to start a business back home. Eugene dreams to finish his car before he graduates, finish building his car before he graduates. These are dreams to succeed. Sean wants to share his love for nature with other Singaporeans. Kevin wants to make linguistics accessible to the public. These are dreams to share what they love with other people. Hakim and his friends started a project for strangers to get to know each other over lunch. Anisha and Saras, they met up to learn more about each other's religions. These are dreams for greater connection. One wants to do well in school. David wants to have the first family on Mars. And Lin wants to return to Vietnam a better man. These are dreams to be somebody. We have similar fears too. As all of you should know, I'm really afraid of public speaking. And most of the students here have probably experienced the fear of missing out, the fear of mathematics, the fear of that biology teacher. Some of us are afraid of failure. Gabriel here is afraid that he will never live up to his fullest potential. Some of us are afraid that we might never fit in. Some of us are afraid of being vulnerable in front of others. This is Jonathan. He has this skin condition that causes him to sweat excessively. And during our conversation, he started to perspire uncontrollably. And at the end of the conversation, when I stuck out my hand to offer him a handshake, he didn't want to do it because he was afraid that he was going to dirty it. Some of our fears and our hopes are irrational. And the thing is, everybody is just as imperfect. I'm not lying when I say there isn't such a thing as a boring person, because everyone has a story. And a unique one too. Part of our life, there's always a part of the human experience that we have to go through alone. And because of that, we will definitely see the world differently from the person beside us. And that's really normal. Our only job is to open our ears and start listening. Only then will we realize that human connection is beautiful. And with that, you will start seeing the wisdom of strangers. A couple months ago, I met Sander, a Dutch PhD student who studies history. He told me that I hope if university teaches you anything, it's to keep asking questions. It doesn't matter who says it. Because this is something I really agree. I feel like we Singaporeans do not like to ask much questions. In fact, we avoid asking questions. And that's a real shame. Because asking the right questions can lead us to learn so much more about ourselves and our friends. This is Peng Feng. He was sketching U-Town and the other day when I met him. And he said that I shouldn't be wasting my time here. I should be back in the studio doing my assignments. But I thought what he was doing is really amazing. Yeah. It's time we open our eyes to see the wisdom and the talents that are surrounding us. Srijit, a master's student, told me something surprising. He said that, "I wasn't afraid of speaking to strangers until I came to Singapore. In India, when you sit beside someone, you talk to them. I still wonder, what makes Singaporeans so unapproachable?" In Tamil, there's this term for friendships made on the train. Rail Sneam, they call it. It's this transient bond that you form with a fellow passenger during the duration of one train journey. This guy you have never met before, and you'll probably never meet again, but for that 6 or 8 hours of the train journey, he's your best friend. He's the center of your universe. I like to call this the 5-minute friend. These are the people that you can bear all with, that you can be completely honest with without fear of judgment. And I guess there's some irony here, because talking with strangers has led me to rediscover my old friendships. I use these personal questions that I usually only direct at strangers towards my older friends, to surprising results. I find out how little I know about my good friends and how much more I have to learn about them. And in this way, not only am I a better stranger, I kind of become a better friend. An Irish poet once said, "There are no strangers here, only friends you haven't yet met." Strangers, friends, these are just labels that we give people. And just like how we like to label a relationship as platonic or romantic. But the thing is, how does any connection begin? It always starts with being a stranger. And maybe talking to strangers isn't your thing. That's fine. You can talk to your friends instead. But ask the questions that matter. Because only then can you have conversations that matter, and maybe your friendship will mean something more. Thank you.